Hey vinyl community, hey New Wavers, it's Shad with Vinyl New Wave. Coming to you today with a video response to Punk Eye Records' New Wave, 80s New Wave tag. How can I not take the opportunity to share more New Wave records? So let's just get right into it. The first question that he asked was, what is your favorite New Wave band from the 80s? I've probably already covered this before. In fact, I'm pretty sure I have. But my favorite band is Erasure. And this is their first album, Wonderland. Debuted in 1986, looks like. This is actually a recent repress or reissue from 2016. And it was done by Intervention Records. They took the master tapes and started working on them, and what they found was that when they originally mastered this record back in 1986, they kind of limited the range, and so a lot of the bass in the album was taken out. It just didn't go as deep and as full as it was on the masters. So they remastered it and pressed it to vinyl, and this pressing sounds absolutely amazing. So if you don't have this album, I strongly recommend picking it up because it's one of their best. And also get this pressing because it sounds so much better than the original. Second question was, what is the favorite genre of 80s New Wave? Like he mentioned, there's a ton of different genres that kind of get lumped under New Wave, like industrial, goth, ska, post-punk, jangle pop. But my favorite, and I like them all, but my favorite is synth pop. I just love synth pop. Erasure, my favorite band. But another band that is really great, that's a synth pop band that I wanted to show you, is a band called Cetu, Javu. This band is from, I believe, from Germany. Yeah, Torsten, Stefan, Javier, yeah. Band from Germany. And this is the album Southern Lands. I think they may have one other album than this one, but this is kind of the one that's got all the really good songs on it. Southern Lands, Oye, So Strange, Situations is a good one, as also is Have in Mind. This is a really great synth pop album, so if you get the chance, look them up on either on YouTube or Spotify or whatever, and give it a listen, because this is a really great album. The next question is favorite album or cassette from the 80s that you own from the 80s. And for this one, I chose Dead or Alive's Youthquake. Dead or Alive is up there in my favorite bands, probably number 2 or 3. And this album is by far their best. There's not a dud on the album. Every single song on there is a great song. And of course, this has their hits. The hit "You Spin Me Like a Record, Baby," which is kind of their biggest known. But other ones like "In Too Deep" and "Lover Come Back" and "My Heart Goes Bang," they're all really, really great songs. I played this record, and you could see the ring wear. That's from just me pulling it in and out all the time. I played this record all the time. The next question is favorite New Wave 80s artist that you have seen. For this one, I chose Depeche Mode. I have seen Depeche Mode 4 or 5 times now live. Usually they're pretty good. I think they've had maybe 1 or 2 nights off, but in general they're usually pretty good. And this is the Black Celebration album. It is on gray vinyl. This is a German, I think a repress from Germany. But it's on this, the sleeve has got these nice embossed symbols on it here. and then the vinyl is gray. And then I also have a copy of Some Great Reward that's also in that gray vinyl. Next question: What was your favorite MTV music show from the 80s? So when I was a kid, my parents they would not get cable television. Whether they just figured it was all garbage or what, I don't know. They didn't get it until I think when I got married in 97 or 96, somewhere around that time is when they finally got cable. So I didn't really get to watch a lot of TV when I was a kid. However, occasionally on Sunday evenings, we would go and visit my grandparents who lived in a seniors community that had cable. And we got to go into the back room and watch MTV. And since it was Sunday evening, of course, what else are we going to watch? 120 Minutes. So I did watch quite a bit of 120 Minutes, and 120 Minutes introduced me to this band, Love and Rockets. I remember sitting there in the back room at my grandma's condo watching Love and Rockets videos on 120 Minutes. So that's what so anyways, 120 Minutes, answer to that question. The next question: What album or cassette or CD from the 80s would you take with you on a deserted island? This is maybe a little bit of a cheat, because I don't know if I would take an album from any particular artist. Probably what I would do is take a compilation like this one. This is a French compilation called Les Années New Wave, and it has music from all sorts of different new wave artists like Visage, The Buggles, OMD, B-Movie, Frewer, the Boomtown Rats, Trio, Talk Talk, Men at Work, In Excess, The Glove, Blancmange, Propaganda, Frankie Goes to Hollywood. So that is what I would do. It's maybe a little bit of a cheat, but I would rather have a compilation that had a whole variety of artists, not just an album from one particular artist. The next question is, what song from the 80s have you played more than any other song? Now, this one is really kind of a tough one for me to really nail down, because I didn't, being a DJ, I played a ton of songs, and I don't necessarily always listen to the same thing over and over again. I have plenty to choose from. So I did choose a song, and that was Love Shack from the B-52s. This is a 12-inch single for that song. And, you know, I just about any club you went to in the late 80s, and just about any wedding dance or anything, this song got played. And I listened to it a fair amount myself too. So Love Shack is just one of those songs that everybody, even today, if it gets played, people pack the dance floor and they're singing along and they're screaming "Tin Roof Rusted." So I chose Love Shack. The next question was your favorite 80s group or artist that you have seen live, which is a little bit of a repeat question, I think, but I chose for this one Mr. Peter Murphy. This is the 12-inch single for The Line Between the Devil's Teeth and That Which Cannot Be Repeat. I have seen Peter Murphy probably more times than any other artist. He might be tired with Depeche Mode, but it's up there a ways. And sometimes there have been times when he's been great and amazing. This last time that he came through town last year with David J, and they did the 40th anniversary Bauhaus set. Was unbelievable. It was amazing. Peter was he was animated and all over the place and just really, really well. But I saw him at a small club here in town with just a couple hundred people, and he just kind of sat and bitched and moaned the whole time. Had to restart stuff, and mic stands falling over and stuff. It just wasn't a great show. But I have seen him more than, like I said, probably more than any other band. And Peter actually just this last week had a heart attack in New York. And so he's had to postpone. He was in the middle of doing a big residency in New York, and he's had to postpone the second half of that. So I wish Peter well, wish him to get better, get his residency in New York done, and hopefully make some more music and do another tour, and come back to Salt Lake so I can see him yet again. And let's see here. Your favorite 80s hairstyle. So when I was in junior high in the mid 80s, I was very influenced by skateboarding culture. I had a skateboard before I had a car. I went everywhere on my skateboard. And one of the big names in skateboarding was Tony Hawk. And his hair was like this cool skater hair where the bangs were, you grew your bangs down to like past your chin, and then it kind of cut it back up, and on one side it was trimmed really short. I've heard it called like an asymmetrical haircut or whatever. I'd call it a skater haircut, but yeah, I had my hair, my bangs down to about my chin and then back up over my ear. So that's my 80s hairstyle. And finally, what's your favorite medium? Vinyl, cassette, CD, or 8 tracks? Well, obviously vinyl. I've had a little bit of everything in my day. Actually, I had a couple 8 tracks from my parents for a while. My first car was a little Ford Escort that had an 8-track player. So I stole some of my parents' old 8 tracks for a while until I got one of the cassette adapters. I had a cassettes. I didn't buy a ton of cassettes. Most of the cassettes that I had were the Maxells and TDKs that I bought to record my records onto so I could listen to them in the car. And CDs, like I've got a couple hundred, I've got several hundred CDs that I have all digitized, and they're in storage in the basement. I never really access them anymore. And finally, your favorite 80s movie soundtrack. Like Punk Eye, I chose Pretty in Pink. I don't actually have that whole soundtrack on vinyl. I think I have it on CD somewhere, but this is the 12-inch single from the Psychedelic Furs for Pretty in Pink, and a couple different remixes on it, and Love My Way as well. But that soundtrack, there's not a dud on it. Every single song in there, from OMD's If You Leave to Please Please Let Me Get What I Want from the Smiths to Pretty in Pink to I can't even remember them all, but there's just every single song on there is a great song. So I chose Pretty in Pink. However, as an honorable mention, I'm going to choose another film that my wife loves this movie and she loves this soundtrack. And it's another John Hughes film. It's She's Having a Baby. This is a great album, and I think it gets overlooked a lot. There aren't any huge hits on it, per se, but they're all really pretty solid. From She's Having a Baby, that's performed by Dave Wakeling from the English Beat, to there's a Love and Rockets song, Gene Loves Jezebel's Desire, XTC has a song on here, Brian Ferry has a really great song called Crazy Love on here, and Everything But the Girl, and my wife's favorite, which is This Woman's Work by Kate Bush. So this is it's a really good, solid soundtrack. So, and again, it's a John Hughes film, and pretty much just every John Hughes teen film in the 80s, had an amazing soundtrack. But I decided I wanted to give this one a good honorable mention behind Pretty in Pink. So that is my response to Punk Eye Records' New Wave tag. And, you know, thanks for starting the thread. It was fun to sit and look through my records and kind of come up with my responses. If you like my video, please like it, or like any of the records that I show in the video, please like it. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And until next time, as Dead or Alive says, you spin me around like a record, baby.